Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another episode of Liberal White Dudes. I am Andrew.
I'm Jared.
I am AJ.
And we are Liberal White Dudes.
Indeed.
Today's episode is called Faith and Art, or if you just want to shorten it, call it Fart.
Right, yeah.
But first, we're going to talk a little bit about some recent news. Probably the biggest thing coming out of today was Marjorie Taylor Greene, otherwise known as Green Margarine, the gun-toting Parkland shooter, harassing,
denying,
QAnon-following piece of crap from northeastern Georgia, Congresswoman, was kicked off all her committees.
Yes, she indeed was.
Yes.
Yeah, they voted to remove her committee assignments. So, not being one to know a lot about how Congress works, I'm not sure, everything that means. I know that she's less influential now, doesn't get to make as many decisions.
Yeah. Well, I think it was definitely something you didn't want when you have someone denying mass shootings at schools on the education committee. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's 101 different reasons why. Why is my shirt crooked? Is that bothering everybody else? Maybe I'm just crooked.
Could be that.
It's probably related to her losing her committee assignments.
I'm thinking.
On the education committee, someone who clearly didn't get a good education, the Jewish space laser lady.
Someone who's obviously been failed by our education system, building our education system seems bad. Seems bad. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. And I feel like it's a good start. She shouldn't be in Congress.
I have to keep reminding myself that she ran unopposed because I'm like, there's no way. There's just no way, right? There's no way.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, yeah, well, there is, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, there's at least a couple handfuls worth of Congress folk and who shouldn't be in Congress anymore. I don't know if the wheels of justice are even turning as far as that goes. Ted Cruz still having his seat in the Senate doesn't make any sense to me. Twitter feuds with Seth Rogen and Carrie Elwes are not enough to diminish his stature. We'll see as far as that goes. I guess it's a good step to just not have her on committees.
Yeah.
Speaking of good steps and sort of nonsense related to the Capitol riots, there was a woman in Texas who, bragged about being on the Senate floor, bragged that, quote, we stole Nancy's gavel and all this stuff. She was arraigned and she was like, hey, I've got a vacation in Mexico coming up. Can I go to that? And the judge was like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So.
I don't, we have obviously multiple systems of government and justice in our country, but wow. I mean, that is just a blatant sort of, different rules for different folks.
Yeah.
I mean, you commit literal insurrection and you break into a government facility and are part of the process and group of people that steal stuff from a government office. And then you just leave the country now.
Yeah.
If you want.
Well, I'm not
on vacation.
Yeah, I'm not sure who the judge was, but it's just linking oh, you're a white racist. I am too, so I guess that's fine.
Go on vacation. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really hard to wrap your mind around. She even said in her statement in court where she's like, I didn't do anything wrong. How does anyone that? I mean, the whole learn your lesson type thing.
Yeah. She said she'd do it again.
Yeah. Why is she out and about? Just in general, much less.
The whole point is the rehabilitation process.
Speaking of being out and about, and I don't think I mentioned this on our last show. Did it happen between the last show and this one? Kyle Rittenhouse, the accused murderer and white supremacist, they can't find him. He got out on bail thanks to Ricky Schroeder of Silver Spoons fame anybody who still enjoys or likes Ricky Schroeder shouldn't at this point. Kyle Rittenhouse drove across the country out of his own home state to go to a protest where he shot and killed, allegedly, at least one person. The fact that he was let out on bail at all doesn't make any sense. And there's been photos of him underage drinking and flashing white supremacist symbols and things while he's been out and about.
And he's just, off he goes. Back in.
Again, it's we exist in a society that works differently for different folks, obviously. And the justice system is constructed in a way that it works different for different folks.
Yeah.
In very obvious ways.
And I always call back to the black teenager who was accused of stealing a backpack and spent forever on Rikers Island. Where was Ricky Schroeder for that one?
Yeah. Swing and a miss on Ricky Schroeder's part.
Yeah. Just out being racist, I guess.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know. I didn't know it was racist until recently.
Yeah. So, just ruined Ricky Schroeder for my sister. I have a huge crush on Ricky Schroeder. I probably still got some tapes, actually, some analog tapes where she's talking to Ricky Schroeder.
I only remember
I'll air those during our next broadcast.
I only remember him from he had a couple episode arc on Scrubs, I remember, and I was like, oh yeah, Ricky Schroeder.
Yeah.
Also, he's in Lonesome Dove, which I love. I love Lonesome Dove, so that sucks.
Yeah.
There's probably a few racist stuff in Lonesome Dove. I don't want to dig too deep into that cast, to be honest. It's a Western.
I don't think you can really put the lens of social justice on Westerns at all. John Wayne and Clint Eastwood.
Just not gonna go down that road.
Yeah. If you like Westerns, you're not going to love the people behind them.
No, certainly not.
For the most part, yeah.
For the most part. Committee assignments. Speaking of her harassing David Hogue, is that his last name? Is that how you pronounce it? The Parkland shooting survivor kid?
I believe it is Hogue.
He announced today that he and this software developer kid, who made a bunch of money off of software development and Bitcoin, I guess, are going to be starting a pillow company.
Yeah, I saw that.
To compete with the My Pillow guy.
He's doing a My Pillow.
Yeah,
they're gonna My Pillow.
Yeah, they're starting a pillow company. I thought that was funny. That's a sort of social justice thing. Yeah, that you can do.
Things you wouldn't expect.
Yeah, I'll buy that pillow.
I don't think anybody who would buy that pillow is a former My Pillow customer, or a potential future My Pillow customer. I guess would be my argument. I don't think anyone who considers buying a My Pillow at this point is gonna buy that pillow.
Yeah, I think they're just ignorant to the My Pillow guy.
Yeah, I don't know how you could be, but maybe.
Yeah. I've never heard much about it. What's the deal with My Pillow? Can anybody give me a 30-second pitch? I have no idea what it is actually. What does it do? Does anybody know?
What do you mean? Are you being serious?
You guys,
like the product?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, what's the product?
Oh,
what would it be?
So the product is a pillow.
Got it. I own those though. So what's the net? Shark Tank me. What? Oh,
okay. So let's say you're going to bed at night and you want to lay your head down, right?
Yeah.
But you don't want it to just hit the bed. You want it to hit something soft and racist and crazy.
Right, or like a rock. Sometimes I have a rock. Is that not something I should put my head on?
No. If you want something that will whisper conspiracy theories into your ear, while generally being a garbage person, My Pillow.
My Pillow's free. Okay, got it. Yeah, all right. I think I got it. Yeah. No, I don't want one of those either.
Yeah. Last but not least, Fox News is in a ratings slump.
Oh, yeah.
They were knocked out of being the number one cable news provider by audience to number 3. Just
what's beating it out?
CNN and MSNBC.
They're also named in a $2.7 billion lawsuit. So Fox News directly. So
yeah,
they got that going on as well in legal.
Nothing quite like losing some of your funding, but then also being named in a $2.7 billion lawsuit.
Imagine one group of execs getting the shit kicked out of them in one room over the ratings, and then right down the hall in legal, they're getting the shit kicked out of them over a $2.7 billion lawsuit. Just kind of like to imagine that all. And Roger Ailes rolling over in his extremely large grave. Because he was a big guy.
Yes, because he's fat. And we can say that. Because he's a white dude and somehow not a liberal. But yeah, glad to hear it couldn't happen to nicer folks.
Agreed.
I feel like they're not crazy enough for the people who, would have used to watch Fox News. They're not on the, QAnon bandwagon. They're not spouting lies that are far enough outside of reality. Their lies are still pretty dumb, but they're not dumb enough.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, not
Newsmax and OAN have your dumb now. So
yeah, Fox, unfortunately for themselves, are hanging on to like the smallest shred of dignity or substance or any kind of like desire to remain relevant to anybody except that audience, but they just can't have it both ways these days.
Yeah, and I feel like the ratings, sort of give you a broader view too of the constituency of the Republican Party, because that used to be the Republican news channel. So if they are dropping like a stone when they're no longer crazy enough, kind of says something about the viewership as well.
Certainly does.
If they're jumping ship and moving on to the more crazy,
farther right with all that nonsense.
Well, I feel that also translates to elected officials. I mean, you see some of these older GOP members, like Mitch McConnell is a great example of one that is losing control of their party because their voters have become so synonymous with super extreme conspiracy theorists that now there's no way to separate them. It's why they can't come out against green margarine. It's why they can't do anything because they're so hamstringed.
I mean, he didn't name her specifically, but he was very pointed about it, that basically people like her are ruining the party, and it's like they're exposing the underbelly of your party. That's a little different.
I was going to say, ruining it is one way to put it. I guess if you're on that side of it, you see it that way. For us, it's more of an exposure of what we've always kind of known about your party.
Yeah, just adding voice and shining a light on what your party is,
Yeah.
And he's not all of those things because he's not an idiot. And again, just because you cater to idiots and you know that your constituency is a lot of idiots doesn't mean that you are yourself one.
Exactly.
Trump was really the first to really embody just both. Catering to idiots while also being one.
By idiots for idiots.
I'll be the first to admit, I thought there was a small
BIFI. Just make clothing, like it's like FUBA, but it's BIFI instead.
Yeah. That's pretty good. I actually really like that. But I'll admit, I was fooled for a brief time by Trump, thinking he might be a mad genius, and then I was like, oh no, this is an anomaly. He is both a moron leading morons. I had that wrong.
Yeah, there were some times where the game worked out so well for him that I was like,
you have to think maybe,
did he
be
really
levels
have,
here?
Yeah, the foresight.
He must be big braining me right now
to see that come out that way, and then I was like, oh no,
nope. He just
once again failed up. Just lucked into being
winging it and having it work out sometimes.
Yeah. So Fox News in a ratings slump. Sorry to hear that, Fox News.
But it's not a bad segue into our topic.
Yeah. So our topic today: faith and art. Fart. I'm gonna say fart a couple times this episode because farts are funny. We almost titled this episode "Fart" because fart is funny. Fart. Sorry, your name ended up being fart. So AJ, kick us off with a little bit of faith and art.
Yeah, actually, just because like this is kind of a good segue with Fox's ratings plummeting and Trump resigning from the Screen Actors Guild today. I don't know if you guys heard that. So again, a little bit of a connection there with faith and art. I had a thought just about it in general, because I was thinking back to all of the famous religious art that is out there that was so inspired by faith. You know, obviously Michelangelo and the Christ
Chapel.
of St. John of the Cross, Sistine Chapel, exactly. And then you look at faith-based art today. I will focus particularly on their films. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to watch any gems starring Kirk Cameron or Kevin Sorbo or any of these 90s TV guys that decided to go all in on faith-based media. But they're terrible. They're just absolute garbage. And I just find it odd. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I haven't watched any of the, the Left Behind series. I know that Kirk Cameron has done like 47 of those. Was it a series or was it a movie?
It's a series of films based on a series of books.
Oh, okay.
Nick Cage was also in a version of them as well. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not.
Yeah, Nick Cage.
That's just a paycheck thing, though, right?
It definitely is. I was just gonna say,
he's been
I could probably get Nick
just for the paycheck.
I could probably get him in my flick if I wanted to be honest. A few phone calls. So, yeah. So, but anyways, I just think that's so funny because, I look at 74 million Americans voting for Trump, and I look at all these people subscribed to some of these wackiest ideas. And then I hear, GOP talking heads like Tomi Lahren, I don't know how to say it, Tomi Lahren, and Lou Dobbs saying how they're being censored, how they're being left out of the conversation, how, the left owns Hollywood and we own the media and we own all this. And I'm like, yeah, but the conservatives have billions upon billions of dollars and millions of supporters. I don't know why they can't pump out quality art like they used to. Like, I can't think of anything recently done. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything recently done that's faith-based that was released widely and well received. Passion of the Christ, maybe, but my God, how long was that?
Yeah.
Ago.
And that movie wasn't, great. It was well done for that story, I guess. I don't know. Somebody said it was like 2 hours of torture porn. And I was like, yeah, that kind of tracks.
Yeah.
Like, and maybe it hits you differently if you, have a strong connection to the character of Jesus.
Sure.
I've heard that people, found it moving in that regard. But yeah, even movies back in the day, when you talk about the Hollywood epics like 10 Commandments or,
right.
Ben-Hur or any of those that were kind of like sort of faith-based. 10 Commandments is obviously very faith-based.
10 Commandments is very faith.
But even any of those, were epics. those were big blockbuster, best special effects of the time type movies. And now you got, Kirk
Left
Cameron
Behind 4, War of something or other. I don't know. It's bad.
Yeah.
Super bad stuff. I was raised in a Christian home, and my parents, I had a mix of both. My parents were very ignorant to what was in movies in general, and they let me watch a lot of stuff I definitely shouldn't have been allowed to watch. At the same time, though, I was also exposed to a very healthy diet of terrible faith-based movies. And I'm just constantly surprised by it. So I kind of delved into it a little bit, and there are just so many articles online on Christian websites, Christian forums. They're trying to solve this problem or trying to figure out why this is a problem. It's kind of entertaining to read these too, because they're saying the same things I'm saying, even though I don't necessarily care that they're not making good art. I'm just more curious that they're not making good art.
Yeah, part of it's probably.
But there's a lot of concerned Christians though that are like concerned they're not making good art.
Yeah, they don't have the gays or the Jews, so.
Right.
Yeah.
historically.
That's a good one.
They've been pretty good in the art world.
You reap what you sow.
Yeah.
You reap what you sow when it comes to
Yeah.
pushing people out of your communities, man.
Yeah.
I agree. I think there's a bit of a connection, not even just a bit. I think there's a very real connection between not only the people they clearly push away from their communities, but also the ideals and the values they push away.
Yeah, and drugs.
Because
I mean, you know, you look at
yeah.
musicians and people who are free thinking and come up with creative ideas, you know. I mean, you're
They're all doing drugs.
You don't do drugs. You don't masturbate. You don't have sex outside of marriage. You don't, you know, like this list of things, but then also, yes, still have good creative ideas.
Yeah.
What?
Right.
There's like other stuff going on.
A bunch of frustrated, you know, just like pent up anger, repressed sexuality people trying to come up with a piece of art.
Like good movie
Well, they really
ideas.
hamstring themselves by blocking out so many members of the community because everything has to line up with these very real, sad, hateful agendas. That's, you know, and it's all veiled in this very faith-based, positive, encouraging, spiritual message. It's like, yeah, but the core of your belief system is exclusion. So it's like, it's so hard to sell to us these days. It's like, it's different when you're looking at the painting, like if you're looking at the Last Supper or you're looking at the ceiling of Sistine Chapel and you're just appreciating the majesty of that art and even what inspired it to a degree. And then you watch Kirk Cameron trying to save Christmas in some shit documentary and you're like, what the fuck? What happened?
Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, do you know who Kirk Cameron is, Jared?
I'm not familiar, no.
Yeah, I would say that, like, nobody, I mean, did you know who he was, AJ? Like, are you old enough to even know Growing Pains?
Absolutely. That's where I was familiar with him first. So I saw Kirk Cameron's transformation from, you know, teen beat heartthrob in the 90s to
Mike Seaver,
weird,
man.
Creepy Christian guy. I had a massive, huge, and I will admit to this day, huge crush on his sister, even though she also is into wacky beliefs and she's super hateful. And that makes me sad because I think she's beautiful. DJ Tanner, I would marry her. I would marry DJ Tanner.
Oh, I thought you meant his sister on Growing Pains. You meant his actual sister in real life.
His actual real life sister.
Yeah, Candace Cameron Brew or Burr, whatever her last name is. It should be my last name. I love her.
You're lucky your wife doesn't watch this show.
Yeah, no kidding.
She knows. She's on the list. DJ Tanner's on the list. She's been on the list for a long time. Then we got off track here. The point is...
I think that's right on track.
Yeah, that's
Tell me more.
Yeah. But, you know, I'm just wondering why we haven't seen, or maybe they just haven't been able to get together, because they definitely have some Hollywood folks on their side. John Voight.
Yeah.
Kirstie Alley.
Sure.
Like, could you imagine this summer?
John Voight.
It'll work. Yeah, exactly.
And Kirstie Alley. Starring What Is Going On.
With Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah.
Kirk Cameron. These are the only Christian celebrities I know.
Scott Baio is like, hey, I'm in this.
Scott Baio. And Nicolas Cage.
Just here for the paycheck, guys.
He'd still be there,
what? Where? That's my impression of Jimmy Fallon's impression of Nick Cage.
Good.
I only do third-hand impressions.
Yeah, because I've seen Ben-Hur and I've seen the Ten Commandments. I've watched both those movies. And the thing is like you can still make like epic movies like that and with hateful people. It's not like Charlton Heston is this like pillar of you know, like virtuous anything. But but for some reason I think once you like start down this like the rabbit hole that has sort of absorbed that faith system, I think it's just harder to like, because of how unsatirizable everything is and how like it's a big part of stuff now is just stuff being funny on some level. There has to be some comedy to it, and I think because of the source material and how people feel about it, I think it's a lot harder to make jokes. And that will
certainly that. But I think there's some. I think there's some historical epicness available in the Bible. Actually, recently I was reading up on a Twitter thread and they were asking about everyone's favorite book. And a lot of people were saying the Bible. And some of them were like, that's the dumbest answer ever. But some people did point out that for a work in English language, it's actually quite impressive. It's an impressive work. If you look at it for what some people may look at it as, which is nothing more than a piece of work. Now, it has influenced certainly a lot of terrible, terrible things.
Yeah.
But at its core, I think there's a lot of beauty in the work. If you've ever read some of it, like, I mean, it is quite poetic, and there's some endearing stories. I think the Ten Commandments is actually a pretty riveting story, if you believe that sort of thing, or whether you look at it as a fantasy or a historical record. Either way, it's quite a story.
There's some great storytelling in the Bible, and of course, no book probably in the history of time has ever had as much editorial, revision and people's hands in the pie and all that as the Bible over hundreds of years. Nobody gets, Stephen King doesn't get that kind of workshopping, so
doesn't.
Entire books were thrown out, entire books were rewritten. Some books were written even 100 years after the, death of Christ and all that. So,
well, and even to this day, in order to keep up with the profitability of the material, and I know this from only recently in my adult life, really coming out of that community, they come out with new versions every year.
Yeah.
Of the same Bible, that same one, whole new version.
Yep.
I mean, every year.
Yeah.
Because they got to make that profitability has to still exist. Once you own a Bible, you're not going to buy another one unless we have a special Bible, a Bible that's built for you, a Bible that caters to you. It's like, wow, really?
Talking Bible
3.0.
It's like a Tamagotchi Bible. You have to feed it every 3 hours or whatever.
Yeah, you have to feed and care for your Jesus.
Yeah.
You didn't read it for a while. You go back, it's just
slowly
wilts
off the cross. Oh,
yeah,
it's probably blasphemous.
Oh no,
Jesus!
One of my favorite Onion articles ever, and I think I maybe mentioned this before, but it's the title of the Onion article was "Why Can't I Sell These Fucking Bibles?" He's like, I go in their house, they got gold Jesus like crosses on the walls and shit, and I'm like, look, this Bible has fucking gold on the pages. They're still not buying it. Pardon all the F-bombs for those that sensitive to that sort of thing, because we don't say that on the show.
No, we certainly don't.
There was a version of Noah that Russell Crowe did not too long ago.
Aronofsky's film, yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
It doesn't sound good.
Not.
And again, that's an epic. That's an epic story. I mean, yeah, I feel like it is missing a humor element. That's probably part of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just watching it going, what about the unicorns? Just close up the door, There's a couple dinosaurs over there. We don't have time.
Yeah, that's
Braveheart has no real, comic relief, and there's still a place in this world for those. Noah could have been good. It was garbage, though. Yeah.
I mean, my favorite.
Go ahead.
My favorite comic that I've seen ever about the Noah's Ark thing. It's two dinosaurs sitting on an island, and they see like a boat in the distance, and one of them goes, "Oh, was that today?"
Solid.
Yeah. I mean, I've always heard the argument that this isn't our religion episode or
no.
Right.
Get into that.
Well, I just feel like, I guess my big question would be, is that fair? Do you think Hollywood, is it whose fault is it? Is it the fault of the Christians for isolating themselves and alienating anybody that doesn't subscribe to their very specific values, and that's why they cannot produce the art that they need? Or are they purposely being shut out by Hollywood and left out of the conversation because we know deep down they're all assholes? Or is it a combination of both?
Well, I mean, we know for certain that religious people in this country have plenty of money. So it's not a matter of being able to fund,
project.
Could make, what's his name? COVID-19 away guy.
Oh, Kenneth Copeland.
Yeah, he could fund a movie.
He could star in it. That guy's a nut job. Oh my God, give that guy more screen time. Jesus.
You know, so it's not a funding issue. So yeah, I mean, maybe I mean, you can't swear. You know, you can't have unnecessary nudity or fornication or whatever.
Right. And if you show drug
make
use,
a good movie. With, I mean, no gratuitous
Yeah.
violence, I guess.
Well, I think of it this way: there are a bunch of children films that we could go on all day that are incredible. They don't have any of that.
Yeah,
so
true.
It's like, don't tell me you can't hamstring an artist. Yeah, look at every Pixar film or Hayao Miyazaki film and it's all these incredible stories about courage and triumph, and it doesn't feature any of the stuff that conservatives would disagree with. And those are phenomenal films, and they still can't do it. So even if you omit that, they can't do it.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for you.
No, me neither. It's very strange to me, though.
Yeah,
I find it odd, considering their resources, considering how deep their bench is in terms of resources and finances. I'm also a little bit surprised that they don't have more quality work.
Has directed some fantastic films. And, he's not super outspoken, but he is on that side of the fence. His infamous empty chair conversation.
Some of his best work. Some of his best work. Yikes.
But yeah, he may be on an island.
Yeah.
John Voight hasn't done anything good since Midnight Cowboy.
Yeah.
He's been sort of in some things that were very good.
Mission Impossible.
Yeah, and I love Enemy of the State.
Me too.
He doesn't make that good, but I do love that movie. So it's not like they've been completely shut out of the conversation as far as participation's concerned.
I think it's but one thing I would say about Clint Eastwood's an example of someone I would say is personally they definitely are conservative in their views. But their art isn't faith-based necessarily. I mean, $1 Million Baby and stuff. I mean, it's not faith-based work.
Yeah.
So it's like, I know there's plenty of individuals in Hollywood. I'll say this: Chris Pratt, I think, has been recently under fire because people found out he's pretty conservative. In fact, it's very likely he was a Trump voter, Trump supporter. He hasn't come out and said it, obviously, because that's career suicide.
Yeah.
But it's very likely he is, but everyone who works with him says the guy's incredible. Obviously, he's an awesome dude, great dude to work with. He's a lot of fun. So it's like, I mean, he's super talented. So it's like, I mean, I know the individuals exist, but for some reason, they just can't make it happen on the big screen. I don't think. At least they haven't thus far.
Yeah, I felt kind of bad for, I feel two ways about it because, every time I see like outtakes and things outside of the actual movie itself, Chris Pratt seems like a great guy.
Sure does.
Funny, not super bright, and he does seem like the kind of person who could be influenced by a message. So it's unfortunate that he goes to what seems to be an openly anti-gay church.
Yeah. Agreed.
And should people who are openly anti-gay work in Hollywood?
I don't know. I mean, should they really be allowed to work anywhere? I mean, if you openly hate black people, you probably don't get a job anywhere.
Yeah.
And I mean, unless you're in the South.
Yeah. Anywhere in the South, really.
I mean,
other than anywhere across the South.
Yeah.
No, you get it. You're bigots.
Yeah, that's the joke. Is that you're
no,
that's the joke.
Actually,
but it's not a joke.
Let's circle back to thank you, Georgia, once again. For electing two
I actually
senators.
do want to say that.
True.
As well as Joe
Stacey
Biden
Abrams
as being a part of that. Yes.
Drew's killing the game.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Green Margarine had made some statements about basically identifying Georgia as a red state, and a lot of comments were quick to correct her. They're like, it's actually a blue state.
Yeah, and if it
right
wasn't
now.
Yeah, and if it wasn't gerrymandered, and there wasn't voter suppression.
Right.
And it would be blue.
Yeah,
from
who knows
now
how many
on.
blue states we would have, honestly.
Yeah, a lot of them.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so much work to be done to just make votes matter and votes count. And it's kind of funny that the people who are asking for that are the wrong people. That's what the
Agreed.
right is currently clamoring about. And it's like,
Yeah.
you barely lost when you should have lost in a landslide. This should
Yeah.
have been, after 4 years of President Hillary Clinton,
Agreed. Yeah.
Hillary
Yeah.
Clinton again.
Yeah, probably.
That's one of the things that bothers me so much about the 70 million vote thing that they keep touting. You're not listening to these 70 million some odd people. It's like, do you remember what you said 4 years ago to the people who voted for Hillary Clinton? And there were more of them than voted for Trump in that election. They
Right.
were the majority of people. And you were the minority, and you said, hey, you lost, get over it, suck it. And it's like, well, now you should probably suck it.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It is an
Especially
example of
since,
things you can do.
we got
Agreed.
upset about it, and there were people who were upset about it. We didn't, storm the Capitol, so.
Yeah, also accurate.
Yeah, we didn't do that. Yeah.
Didn't spend any time breaking into federal buildings.
Right.
Also did not sculpt the statue of David. Just to bring that around to the
Yeah.
topic at hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So,
mean,
yeah.
you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, faith in art. Fart. I mean, are they gonna step it up? Can they step it up? I feel like at this point it's such a slippery slope right into something we kind of mentioned earlier. It's so interwoven with extremism and conspiracy theories and beyond, into real hate groups, real violence. I mean, it's woven right into that. These same people that commit these violent acts, these cops that murder Black people in the streets, go to church on Sunday. So, I mean, it's so woven into their community anyways. I mean, can they ever really come back from that? I don't think I could ever watch a Kirk Cameron movie or any faith-based film and not just be laughing to myself the whole time at the utter hypocrisy of any message that has anything to do with love or acceptance or freedom or any of that bullshit that they tout when they clearly don't believe it for everyone.
Yeah. I can go on record as saying I will never watch a Kirk Cameron film. Mostly because I don't think he's a good actor. But
also true. Yeah.
Yeah. As far as faith-based films, I did do a little bit of, looking around to see if there were any that I enjoyed. And Ben-Hur and 10 Commandments, I mean, those are some epic films, especially for their time. And,
Sure.
and,
Agreed, yeah.
I can appreciate those for what they were. I did think The Passion of the Christ was just kind of boring, and I kind of knew that story already. But couldn't find anything like that I would even watch, much less that I had already watched and enjoyed. Like, I'm looking right now at just a huge list with pictures.
Yeah.
It's just like, no.
Okay, haven't seen that. Haven't seen that.
No.
Nor should you want to, because they're all garbage. They're all like they're the equivalent to B movies. They feel low budget. They don't feel well done. And that, I guess, was the core of my question, was that with all these resources, is this the best? I mean, I get that they're not going to have awesome violence and cool drug use and awesome F-bombs and all the stuff I love about movies. But I did think that I can also enjoy Toy Story like no one's business. So I clearly can enjoy films without that. So how come you guys can't do it?
Or look at Paranormal Activity. Shoestring budget.
Yeah. Right.
Fun film. It's not, I mean, in some ways it is faith-based, I guess.
Yeah.
Hey,
but yeah.
Maybe we stand corrected all along.
Yeah, you don't need a
Turns out.
huge budget to, make a good movie. It certainly helps. If you want to do like Day After Tomorrow or whatever.
Right.
Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow. There you go. You need a huge budget for that, and that's an awesome movie.
It is.
But they do have the budget if they want it. So that's what makes me even more curious.
Yeah.
I'm like, not only is this film terrible because the talent in it is awful. Hashtag Kevin Sorbo. Hashtag Kirk Cameron. We're just really laying into those guys today. It's only because I don't know too many. It's not really that personal.
Did this end up being a Beefing Over Turf with Kirk Cameron?
With Kirk Cameron.
Doesn't really occupy the same space.
And a little bit Kevin Sorbo. I did like Hercules when I was a kid. I don't know if anybody watched that. It was a lot of fun.
Have you seen him and Lucy Lawless?
Go at it on Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I follow
kinda
them both.
fun.
I regularly troll Kevin Sorbo. I don't know if that, I just go to his comments and just let him have it. I don't know if he reads it or not. He hasn't blocked me, but he probably doesn't see them.
Yeah.
But I do it for myself. Anyway, that's off topic.
It's a meme.
Kevin Sorbo's assistant chuckles at your comments.
Maybe.
Yeah.
He's got a very dedicated troll. It's like,
Kevin
does he really hate
Sorbo's-
Kevin Sorbo so much?
Kevin Sorbo's social media manager. All over that.
Yeah. But they have the resources, so it's not just the bad talent. I don't know what it is. But, I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't mind that they don't make good shit. I'm just curious why they don't.
Well, maybe somebody will bring up a good example of a good faith-based movie made in the last 10 years that we didn't think of. In the comments.
I do know our friend Garney watches this show, and he's a film buff. So, Garney, no last name.
Oh, and by the way, if you say mother, no, man, that's not a good movie.
Nah, bro.
For the record, that's not a good movie. Hey, you ever wonder what the back of Jennifer Lawrence's head looks like for an hour and a half? Watch yourself some Mother.
We have differences of opinion when it comes to this film slightly, so I'm not going to get into it on this. I don't mind that movie, but I like it fine.
Yeah, I mean, it is fine if you just like want to go brain dead for a couple hours and really wish you were doing anything else. Like if you feel like you did something wrong and you need to punish yourself for it, but it's not so bad that you actually need to flog yourself, you just like watch Mother instead.
And that is a religious experience in itself right there.
Yep, there you go. That was my penance for having done something wrong.
Subject myself.
All right, faith and art.
There's some great comments. There's a great comment in the comment section for that, though. I didn't want to pass by for her Mother.
Oh,
Saw it, dude. Sucked.
Sucked. I just didn't want to let that go by before we ended.
Yes. Saw it, dude. Sucked. All right. So faith and art, pre-1900, I give it 5 out of 5 figs. Post 1960, I'm gonna go with 2 figs.
Just for the entertainment value.
Yeah, my exposure outside of like Veggie Tales is very minimal, so I'll probably, it's a 1 for me.
I gotta give them 1 star, or 1 fig rather. I apologize. 1 fig for Veggie Tales, because Veggie Tales is actually not bad. Some clever stuff. Even and I know Veggie Tales has made a migration away from really, really hardcore faith-based, and it's a little more just kind of like positive and vanilla. But their early stuff is extremely rooted in faith-based stuff and still pretty entertaining. I remember a lot of that being good. So they get 1 fig for Veggie Tales. The rest is trash.
You got us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You got me with the Bob the Tomato.
Yeah, I actually showed my kids Veggie Tales back in the day and showed them none of the faith-based stuff. And I enjoyed it, Silly Songs with Larry and,
Fantastic stuff, yeah.
Yeah,
it's good quality stuff.
Yeah, they get a fig for that.
Find those guys. They'll write you the movie.
Yeah,
Sorbo.
Veggie Tales guys.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Quick apology
to Kevin Sorbo.
To AOC.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Kind of ran out of time here. She actually had a great story about painting that she saw. The religious painting painted recently by somebody religious, but we seem to have found ourselves out of time, so we won't have her on to talk about that. But maybe next time we'll see what we can do. Go ahead and subscribe to us here on YouTube. Go ahead and like this video as well. We're getting ratioed on those. You can like us over on Facebook, and you can follow us on Twitter. Thanks again, everybody, for showing up, and we will see you again. We're here every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Have a good night.
Bye.
Never want to.